Chelsea 4, AC Milan 1. And I can't lie, guys, Chelsea are cooking something. The chefs are in the kitchen and they are cooking us something special. I am buzzing for this season to get started, and I'm more positive going into this season than I have been for a very, very long time. We look ready, we look sharp, and we look ready to go. We look ready to get this Premier League season started. And of course, you've got the little bit in the back of your mind that they haven't had much rest. Will fatigue, will burnout kick in during the season and might not look as sharp and not as good as we have been and what we've been putting on display at the moment. But I have to caveat this because though we haven't had much of a rest, and I do think fatigue may play a part towards the back end of the season, but I also think we have enough cover in all positions to counteract that. But because we haven't had an extended break and players haven't had a bit of time to eat a bit more food and relax and their muscle fatigue, we just look a lot sharper. We look like we haven't lost any pace. We've kept the chemistry, the fluidity of the team still is building on what we did at the back end of the season and in the Club World Cup. There just seems to be no disconnect at all. And I think this could play a big part, especially in the opening games in the season, where every other team that I've seen in pre-season are still struggling for fitness. They're still struggling with sharpness, but we look on it. From minute 1 all the way to minute 90, the fitness is there, the sharpness is there. Every player on that pitch looks ready to get going. And I think this is definitely going to benefit us moving forward. But let's talk about the game. I mean, positives across the board, bar one little thing that could be a problem, and that's the Chalobah injury. We don't know the extent of it just yet, but obviously he had to come off, whether it's because it was serious or just precautionary. I'm sure we'll find out later today or even tomorrow morning, but that's the only real negative that came out of this game. In terms of the game itself, I mean, it was over in the first 10 minutes. 2 early goals, a superb crossing from Reece James. I mean, is there a better right back in the world? I mean, he's got to be England number 1. I'll argue in the comments with you on this one, but he is, for me, is the best right back in the world. He's fit. He seems to be staying fit at the moment. Obviously, touch wood, long may this continue. And he looks sharp. He looks on it. That cross, I mean, it gave the defender no chance. Couldn't get out of the way. Chalobah getting a little flick on. And you had Enzo right at the back there just to try and tap it in if it was to get past the defender. I mean, the AC Milan defender, young 21-year-old academy product from them. He had a bit of a stinker in that half. He obviously scored the own goal and got himself sent off later on about just before the 20th minute mark. And then, of course, the second goal, he's the one, isn't he? Joao Pedro is the guy. He scored left foot, right foot, tidy finishes in the corner, crossbar breaking shots, and now he scored a bullet header straight in the back of the net. Mike Maignan, no chance at saving it, and the guy cannot stop scoring at the moment. And again, long may that continue, and it's not just him. Liam Delap comes on the pitch and bags himself a brace and all, and we'll get onto him a little bit later. But Joao Pedro, what a start to Chelsea life. What a start to his career. He just looks like a breath of fresh air in every sense. His touch is brilliant. His finishing is brilliant. His hold-up play is so good. He can drop into the 10 roll and link-up play. He can peel out wide. He can drive through the centre. He scores all these different types of goal. He looks like what we've been missing for a very, very long time. And I'm so glad he's hit the ground running. He's bagging goals. He's definitely going to be the starting striker in this season, and he will be starting against Palace. I mean, apart from the striking, in every position, we just looked on it today. There was a slight spacing issue, I think, between the 2 centre-backs. Sometimes there were quite big gaps, and they were getting him some joy in behind, but not much. Eventually, they did sort of sharpen it out, and then, of course, Chalaba got that injury, which saw him go off, and it's now a position where we may have been discussing it the last few days, if we may need a centre-back, if we have enough cover. But if we were to get another injury, we have to go and get someone. And if the extent of Chalobah's injury is going to be quite serious, we're going to have to go get another centre-back because we can't rely on just what we have. I know we've got a lot of defenders. We've got 2 youngsters in Josh Hatchimpong, who again came on and I thought was superb again. You've got Aaron Anselmino, you've got Fofana, and you've got Badiashile, Tosin, that can all play in the centre-back roles. However, Badiashile's still out. Fofana's just come back from another long-term injury, which he can't seem to stay fit at all. So can we rely on him through the course of the season? I'm not convinced. And if Chalobah's now going to go out with Levi's ACL, we are going to need another experienced centre-back to carry us through to the season. Who we would go for, I'm not too sure. Mark Guehi was one of those names, but he's since come off in the Crystal Palace game today with what looks to be a hamstring injury. And if that is the case, that basically rules him out. Obviously, you got the Jared Brentford link at the beginning of the transfer window. I don't think we'll revisit that. Another defender could be John Stones from Man City, not getting a lot of minutes. Have been sniffing around him before, but in terms of what we were looking at in Mark Guehi, I don't think it's going to happen. Players like Bastoni, I think we would be looking for a temporary solution rather than a long-term solution, because I still think the plan is to use Levi Colwill going forward, and what they're not going to do is bring in another long-term player, because then what's going to happen to Levi Colwill? So it's going to be interesting how the club are going to navigate this, and I think it's all going to be rested on how bad Chalobah's injury is. There was the quotes of Maresca talking about they need to find a solution for the centre-back role, and I don't necessarily think that was to go out and buy someone. I think it was just to look at all options. If we had to buy someone, they would do it. But I think they would look internally first. Can they get someone to cover that for the season until Levi comes back? Now with this injury, it could slightly change the way that they look at this. But we'll see on that one. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you think we should go out and get a centre-back, or do you think that we should cope with what we have at the moment? Love to get your thoughts on that one. Now, first half, once the red card, it's one of those, in pre-season, you want all the players to stay on the pitch because you want to test your team, test your fitness, and teams can tend to switch off a little bit or not try as hard when they know the other team's down to 10 men, because there's always going to be spaces. Not to say that AC Milan didn't try hard. I thought they were even better when they had 10 men on the pitch, because before that we were running them ragged, destroying them in every department: attack, midfield, defence. They couldn't really get on the ball or produce anything of note. They had a few chances in behind, but other than that, nothing really. And it got to the point before the player got sent off, we were pegging them back and they weren't really getting out their half. So it did increase intensity, especially in the second half with the 10 men. They were really going for it and providing a bit more support with Rafael Leao up top, which I thought he had a really good game out of all the players on the pitch in the AC Milan shirt. And he definitely needed support, because in the first half he got nothing, especially when that sending off happened. But unfortunately, with playing against 10 men, even though Chelsea still went at it, obviously got the 4 goals, it's not the best of tests, mainly because regardless of how well AC Milan did and how much better they played with the 10 men, there's always going to be that free gap somewhere because they're a man down. So that gap that they're leaving because of the spare man is not normally going to be there. So they're not having to try super hard to create these little pockets of spaces, because there's always going to be a free space somewhere where the missing man will be. But other than that, we done our job. We done what we needed to do. We played some really, really good football. They're trying a lot at pinging these passes, punching these passes through the lines into these tight gaps where it's sort of bridging on the line of the players probably going to intercept it, or it's just going to squeeze through. And they're really trying to force them in, which is great to see, that forward-thinking passing. We're not looking at going sideways and backwards all the time. It's going in for those killer passes, breaking those lines, which are going to be essential to breaking down low-block teams, which we know we came up against so many times in the Premier League last season. It's so frustrating when we did. So they're now looking to add it into the game, to punch those passes through those lines, to break them, so we can get in behind. And they were doing it all day. Every player in that attacking half was looking to make those line-breaking passes. I thought Pedro Neto's crossing for the Joao Pedro goal was superb, and he loves doing that. And now that he potentially has someone that can score with his head, because he was putting loads of crosses in last season, and he probably will put in more now, knowing that Joao Pedro will get on the end of it. As I think part of the reason why we stopped crossing it in so much, because we couldn't rely on Nicholas Jackson to use his head. I mean, sometimes we couldn't rely on him to use his feet. So I think now with Joao Pedro and even Liam Delap, who's not too bad in the air, the balls will come in more from the wing positions. I thought Jamie Gittens looked sharp. He was always trying to take on his man. His end product was a bit 50-50 in this game, but I'm happy that he's trying. He's confident. He's trying to get his shots away. He's trying to score. He's trying to make things happen. His end product will improve. He's a young lad. I'm not going to, stick it to him because he's skied a few over the bar or he didn't succeed in a few 1v1s. It's the second game that we've seen in him, and he's only had a sort of like 30 minutes, I think, in the first game, and he got majority 60, 70 minutes in this one. He's got to still adapt. He's still getting to know the team. The best of him is still yet to come, but he did look good, and he looked night and day what we've had on the left wing for quite a while. In terms of the midfield, I thought Caicedo, again, brilliant. He's just a machine. You can rely on him for everything. And there's one thing that I think Maresca might do going forward, because we talk about potential formation switch and potential of playing 2-10s, and we've looked at it and gone, maybe with the potential signing of Javi Simmons, which could still happen, that we might play him on the left and he'll drift into a 10. But I think there is a world where Maresca might play 4 at the back and play Caicedo in the midfield on his own with the 2 10s and the 2 wingers. I do think that potentially could happen at some point, especially against low block teams where they're not producing a lot in attack. Caicedo won't have as much to do as he will if we were playing like a team like Man City, who are going to be on us and congesting the midfield, and it's going to need for 2 players rather than the 1. So I do think that's a possibility going forward, that we could potentially see Caicedo just as the lone central defensive midfielder with 2 attacking 10s. Another great cameo from Esteval winning that penalty. Liam Delap slotting it away. That's a proper Frank Lampard penalty, I'm not going to lie, smacking it into the bottom corner. And then the poacher's finish, really, that little touch from Andre Santos. Didn't even have a second to think about it. Ball come in, little first time pass into Liam Delap, finished first time straight in the corner. Minion did get a slight hand to it, probably should have done better from his point of view. But one thing with Liam Delap, he can hit a ball and it's always got power behind it. So 9 times out of 10, even if the keeper's going to get a hand to it, he ain't going to save it. It's still going to go in the net. And it was so good for him to get on the score sheet. You could see it in his face when the ball has gone in the back of the net. Just the euphoria of scoring a goal, getting back into scoring. Because at the moment, he's been sat on the sidelines or coming on the pitch and watching Joao Pedro tear it up. And he's probably thinking to himself, look, I've got to get scoring again. I've got to get on the score sheet and breathe down Joao Pedro's neck, because I want to get on this pitch. I want to be that starting striker. And he'd done what he needed to do today. He went and scored a brace. He gets himself some more goals. And again, healthy competition between the 2 strikers. And it's so good going into next season. I feel so good with these 2 playing up front. I think they are going to do bits this season. But look, guys, we are 1 week away. 1 week until we play against Crystal Palace in that opening fixture of the Premier League season, and we look ready. We look sharp. We look fit. We look like we're going to take the Premier League by storm. And I'm going to say it here now, I think we are definitely challenging for the title next season if we continue down the path that we are going from the back end of the season through the Club World Cup. Up until this point, we have not changed. We have not faltered. We're just getting better week in, week out. And going into this season, out of all the teams that I've seen so far in the preseason, I don't care if you want to say it's preseason, we look ready. And to get those early points on the board is going to be vital. And we look like we are going to do that. So I feel like we're going to do something special this season. And there's no team that I look at the moment where I'm fearful of. But I do think there are a lot of teams out there that are looking at us going, we could be a problem this season. And we will be. But I'd love to know your thoughts on that. But for now, guys, if you are enjoying the content, please hit that like button. Drop a comment below. Feedback is always greatly appreciated. But for now, Take care of yourselves, and I will catch you in the next one.